Okay, let's talk about hardship in the United Nations. On the side, you will be able to select 6 different hardship location, and I added a function to exclude CDNE. Now, let's go with H. H is basically headquarter. This is Montreal, New York, basically Austria, Switzerland, places like that. Places where it's very safe. You'll be able to get the best healthcare, the best school for your kids. It's very easy to get all the products you want. You can order from Amazon online. You can, have access to everything you want, all the programming on TV, and it's very easy to live there. Okay, these are G7 countries or close by, maybe G20. So it's very easy. They're developed, they're industrialized, and most of them are safe and easy to go and fast to live there. Like the rhythm of life is very nice, and people are nice and everything. This is H. This is headquarter. Then you got A. A, that would be like Philippines, Thailand, China. There's not much risk of living there. Okay, you can bring your family and be safe. You'll be able to easily hire a maid. You'll be able to, go around without much risk. People are driving in a relatively civilized manner. So this is fine. You'll still be able to send your kid to very good schools. This is a location. You can bring your family and they'll be happy there. B. Well, B is starting to get a little more tricky. Okay, I've lived in B. I will tell you this. Look, Lebanon, for example. You have all the amenities you can want, but the price of everything is extremely expensive. On top of that, they have the slowest internet in the world. You want to call home, costs you a fortune. This is if you can make a call. Bombings are, they're a way of life. I mean, I had a bombings 800 meters from my house, tons of people dying. It was pretty tough. So this is a B. Okay, this was Lebanon. Of course, if you live in Ethiopia, it's a bit different, but still hard. You won't be able to get all the products you want. You won't be able to put your kid to the best school. C. Lebanon used to be C, became B. Not sure why, actually, to be frank. So let's go with C. Nigeria, Mali. Okay, DRC. So these are countries where there are conflict, there are issues, there are a lot of corruptions. The population is actually not too developed. It's not easy to get any of the products you want. Roads are not that easy to travel. This is hard. Your family would be able to live there, but it depends where they're from, depends what they do. If they're Canadians or Americans and they're not used to the hardship, they might not be able to, to find much happiness over there. Okay, then there's D. D, now we're becoming close to family excluded zones. In this case, there are not. Okay, for most of it, not all. You would have to check the contract, and you have to check the description and check their website to be able to see individually if they are. But when we're starting to talk about Pakistan, we're starting to talk about Myanmar, which is basically former Burma. There's a lot of conflict, and bringing your family might not be something you want to do, even though you may be allowed to. But that's that would be your decision and the organization's decision. E, 100% family excluded zones. You live in a compound, not in a, in a place like you don't have an apartment or anything. You will live in a protected compound. The only time you will see outside the compound is when you're going to drive to work or when you're going to be driven to the airport in a, UN protected vehicle, and you will be escorted by military personnel. So you get the difference. However, there are advantages, tons of advantages, and I'm going to try to list them very quickly on why you want to live in those zones. Okay, first of all, mobility allowance. You have to have lived in CDNE locations. Actually, I think it's BCDNE location in order to be able to get mobility allowance. Mobility allowance is basically between $5,000 to $10,000 extra a year for the rest of your UN career because you committed to live in 2 of those locations for more than a year. This is something sought for by a lot of people because it's quite a bit of money for the rest of your life. On top of that, once you've lived in those locations, if you want to apply for a position in those locations, they know you've been there, you've been through this, your family's been through this, there's no issues, you'll be able to get the job very easily. Because this is something they're looking for. They don't want you to coward or your family to coward out of there after a few weeks and say, no, look, this is not for me, and then they have to rehire if somebody else and go through the entire hiring process and paying for somebody to relocate and so forth. That's very tough. They don't want to do that. They want to have somebody that can do the job. If you already have done it, then you'll be able to. The real massive reason I will say why you should go for those locations is simple. In New York, for example, there are 20,000 applicants per jobs on average. In Congo, maybe there's 50 people. So your chances of getting a job in Congo, if you're new in the UN, is a lot more, favorable to you than if you try to apply for a prime location, prime job in the developing world like Montreal, New York, Geneva, and so forth. This is very tough unless you really have a wonderful profile, you know people, and you've been in the organization for quite a while. There's virtually no chance of you getting that kind of post at the beginning. So this is why you want to try to put a foot in the door in the hardship zone first, and then after that relocate to New York or other places when you have the profile to do so a few years later. And then when you're going to do it, you're going to do it with the mobility allowance, which will be great. One more extra month salary per more or less, or 13 months salary a year. This is very good. All right. So this is the hardship location. So basically, like at the minute you're ready to look for your job, this is what you can use instead of using regions. I think this is much more appropriate to find out exactly what you want. And I made a selection, which is called all except C to E. Okay, so that way, if you want to eliminate every single jobs that will not be part of, these locations. So it's going to only aim everything else except C to E, then you should use that. So that way you won't have to be bothered with all the posts in locations that you don't want to go to.